Are you a leader who's wanted a promotion and keeps wondering why are you getting passed? Today, I'm going to talk about the barriers to promotion and how you can leap over them. I'm Sarah Graves, Chief Relationship Officer for inviteCHANGE. I'm also an ICF credentialed coach. Over the years, I've noticed with many clients who come to me that they are looking to increase their leadership competencies because they've been overlooked for promotions. And yet, what are the real barriers to promotion? Often it's not competency. One of the first things I see is emotional management. Whether you are male or female, and setting aside implicit bias for another video, I'd like to focus on your emotional management. What triggers you? What vibrates you in a negative way that you then have a ripple effect with the rest of your team? What can you do to better manage your own emotions? Well, there's 4 quick things that I'll give you, and that is breathe. Take a deep breath, probably 3 or 4. Pause. Many times people talk too fast and they run right over their own emotions on their way to a point, and they don't realize that they've gotten louder. They might have thrown in a sarcastic remark. The ripple effect that they're wanting to create isn't in the space. When you pause, you actually give your brain and your vibration some chance to move into your frontal lobe, which there's way more options, creativity, and innovation in your speech patterning and what you deliver. So being aware comes into play when you take that pause. Then get curious. When you're talking with, whether you're in the boardroom or with your team, get curious about what's happening in the space and with people, so that you can lower your triggers and your reactivity. And lastly, perceiving. Let's say an employee comes running up to you, they're in a hurry, they're talking fast, they're getting more and more animated, and you're getting more and more animated. Hold on. Take a moment to perceive what's going on for that person. Why are they so upset? What would have them care so much that they're that upset? So to allow yourself to use these practices as a way of managing your own emotions and having your superiors notice, wow, that John or Jill, she's always resilient when she's faced with any crisis and any situation. Emotional self-management. The next barrier that I see frequently, both as a former executive and now as a coach, is a fixed mindset. Carol Dweck did the work years ago on what it means to have a growth mindset. 2 people can look at the very same challenge. One person can call it a problem and get negative and go down the rabbit hole. The other person says, this is a challenge. Let's get creative. Yes, this is a tough sales goal. Or yes, we lost 2 of our best customers. But how can we tackle this? How can we get creative? And they're off to a whole different trajectory because what they're bringing is a growth mindset. Open, creative, innovative. And the person that is identifying the problem, and it might be absolutely accurate, all of the things that could go wrong, that won't produce what you're looking for. And the boss is looking, saying, wow, Daniel's always complaining, or Sheila always has a reason or someone to blame for why something isn't happening. So adopting a growth mindset, and that may mean some extra work on your part, getting a coach, which of course I highly recommend. It could be some reading, TED Talks, but start to expand and look at nature. Nature doesn't stay tight and your flower in a bud. It's incrementally opening, and growing into its full potential. And that's you. A growth mindset. Speaking of a growth mindset, I invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Click on the subscribe button below and also that little bell, because that will notify you of when new videos show up. This next one comes up very frequently. It can also accompany the previous two, and that is people pleasing. People pleasing, and it has its cousin of indecision. Because when we are, as leaders, trying to please everyone, we are unclear about what's true internally. What does our instincts say? What does our guts say? We're trying to people please. And we see this a lot with employees too. And then eventually, people get overwhelmed. Your employees will get overwhelmed. You will get overwhelmed. It's very hard to make a clear decision based on the information, based on the trends, when you're trying to people please. I had a client years ago that was a consummate people pleaser. Many times he got the feedback from his superiors on why he didn't get the promotion because he wasn't reliable. When you're parceled out to everyone and trying to please them, you can't come in on time with projects or strategy sessions. So he wanted to improve that and get past people pleasing into being a better leader. So he put a little post-it note on his desk saying, ask questions, get clarity. And when his salespeople would call him with an emergency, or this has to be delivered, or you've got to stop what you're doing, I need you now, here, and this is why, he would start to ask questions. That little note helped him go from a people pleaser who was like Gumby, getting twisted into a knot, into a leader who was thinking strategically and helping his team think strategically with his questions. So if you are ready to let your people pleaser take a vacation and start being more decisive, you're going to need to create some practices. So I encourage you, get that post-it note on your computer, ask some questions, be clear before you go into people pleasing. The last barrier, which can be a real derailer to your career, is accountability. And this goes both ways. Many times when I've given a compliment to one of our relationship advisors or managers, they'll say, oh, that was because of so-and-so. And I'll say, guess who was in charge of the project? You were. So own that praise, own that compliment, because you had the thinking and the strategy behind the project that created its success. And accountability is helping your team know what was their part in all of it. What did they do specifically that led to the success? Now, we all love the success of life, and there are many times where we make mistakes or there's failure. And if we're really going to glean learning from those mistakes and learning, or mistakes and failure, which is my vote, then we have to look at accountability. Hey, I didn't show up on time with that deadline. I let the team down. Someone hears that's in supervision, that is your boss or your boss's boss. That means that that's someone who will learn. That's someone who's telling the truth. Accountability is all about taking responsibility for your part in something. It's not shame and blame. It's responsibility and being willing to come forward in the tough times, because it's easy to take praise. But when you have that leadership strength that is going to guarantee you a promotion in the future, accountability is a key to that. Speaking of accountability, don't forget to be accountable to yourself and your own growth. Check out Janet M. Harvey, our CEO's video on how to be a good leader and manager.